So this is Charlie. Let's suppose that we start a jQuery project, an Express jQuery project, npm start, and it loads up properly. And when we come to the browser, we see it and we click on one of the buttons and it doesn't work. What this often means is that perhaps a file, the first thing we should check is to see if perhaps a file is not being loaded. So let's go to our networking page and let's press refresh. And you'll notice that we get this little sea of red, 2 files are not getting loaded. So we'll come over here to the editor and we'll see that this file is here are the 2 files that aren't getting loaded, jQuery and control. And if we come back, we can confirm that, jQuery and control. And here's actually the path that they're complaining about, JavaScript's components jQuery, JavaScript's components jQuery. Now let's look over here. Here's our public folder. And we know that the public folder is already on our path. We don't have to worry about that. So we can always forget about the public folder. It will be included in the search for JavaScript files automatically. So when we come back here, we say, so let's look here, public, and then, well, there is no JavaScript. Oh wait, here's a JavaScript folder, but inside of it, there's no components folder. But there is a components folder over here, but it doesn't have JavaScript in front of it. So this part's wrong. Let's get rid of the JavaScript part and just go components. It's right above the public, so that's where the path would start. We'll come over here, we'll press refresh, and look, now it loads, because that is the proper path to jQuery in this situation. But if you look, you can see we're still having trouble with control. It says it's in public JavaScript. And indeed, when we look, we are saying that it's in public JavaScript. But we just finished saying that public is on our path automatically, so we never include public in our listings. Instead, we just start, in this case, with a JavaScript folder. So we'll save that. We'll come back here, do a refresh with F5 or push the doohickey up here. And look, now everything loads, right? And the program starts to work. It's essential that you can get this far in any program you have, that you can get to the point where you don't see any red in the networking tab in the debugger. You'll never make it through the course without this, because what happens is if people can't get past this stage, then they never get to see if there's any trouble in the code they're turning in. They're just guessing to see if it works, because it won't work unless, it usually won't work unless everything's getting loaded properly. So you have to get this cleared up first. The first thing you do when you start a project is press F12. Just press that F12, bring up the debugger. I'll move this over for a second. Over here you can see in more tools, here are the developer tools. That's another way to load the developer tools. But the simplest way by far is simply to toggle the F12 key, and that'll bring them up. And then go to the network page and do refresh and look and make sure you're not seeing any red here. If you do see red here, go immediately to the layout.jade page and make sure your paths are correct. Otherwise, look in index.html if you're not using Jade. Once again, you can solve this kind of problem. This one isn't too hard. You just need to know what to do, and that way, at least when you turn your homework in, you'll know that you got past the part that you're sure you can do. And then you can worry about, are there mistakes elsewhere? Otherwise, you're turning in code and you're just guessing, did it work? Because it won't run properly unless the files get loaded correctly. All right. Thank you guys now. Have a good day and continue having fun with this stuff.